Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 18. We are now at the halfway point of Season 10 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Tropiciana 400 here at Chicago Motor Speedway as we're getting set for our first paved race in a week, as we're racing at this 1 mile track in the Chicago vicinity. Not Chicago Speedway, but we are actually, or Chicagoland Speedway, we're running Chicago Motor Speedway, the 1 mile track. Now, a look at the top 10 in the point standings. So after a couple of races of chaos on dirt, Michael Norman still hangs on to the points lead, but only by 60 points over James Qualls, 85 over Daniel DK, 100 over Kyle Matthews, 140 over Jay Jefferson, who is our pole sitter for today, 200 over Cole Deaver, 225 over Scott Groverston, 230 over Laney Marino, 245 over Keith Miller Jr., and 250 over Jonathan Zorline. Let's take a look at the top 10 in the starting lineup today, and as I can see, Shadow Cold Racing had strong qualifying for this race, as the top 3 is occupied by Shadow Cold Racing drivers, with Jay Jefferson on the pole and Scott Groverston in second. Row 2, Dylan Jacobs and Melissa Alexander. Row 3, Joey Parkhill and another Shadow Cold driver, Lindsey Snyder. Row 4, Keith Miller Jr., Daniel Voiles, and then Row 5, Daniel DK and Raphael Fireblade. Let's get to Command 2 fire engines for the Tropicana 400 at Chicago.
Drivers, start your engines!
Everyone coming out of pit road for the pace lap here, and once again, this track doesn't have enough pit stalls for a full 40 car field, so there's only 38 drivers in the race this time around. Hopefully with the next race we got coming up on Monday at Milwaukee, we can get back to a 40 car field. But anyways, so the 2 drivers that were in that top 10 that didn't make it, unfortunately, were... I'm trying to remember. I know Seth Cole was one of them, and I forget the other one. But beside the point, yeah, our first ever trip to this track, Chicago Motor Speedway, so I'm going to be curious to see how the racing is going to go. I haven't done testing with this track, so we shall see if this is going to be a track worth staying at for Season 11. Pace car is in pit road, so ladies and gentlemen, it is time to boogity 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 go racing. Wow, already some great racing here in the early going. 2 lead changes in 1 lap, but Melissa Alexander was the one to lead it all on lap number 1. And Melissa Alexander is looking for her second win of the season, looking to try and regain momentum after she didn't run very strong back at DuQuoin on Wednesday and fell from 12th to 17th in the standings. Right now, she's starting to get a bit of a gap between herself and Dylan Jacobs, but look who's coming in hot. Daniel DK, who still has been one of the most impressive drivers of the season so far. He's been top 5, top 10 in points since the beginning of the season at Daytona, and he's come close to winning a couple of races. He's just not been able to close the deal. Right now, he is really fast on the racetrack. He was a half a second behind, now he is a little over 3/10 back. So DK may have something for the 78 of Melissa Alexander here before too long, and then other drivers who are working their way. Daniel Voiles up to 3rd, But for how long, though, is Jay Jefferson trying to get back up to the front? And speaking of up at the front, Daniel DK is sneaking closer to the back bumper of the 78, and in fact cut that lead in half. So now DK is pretty much right there. He's just maybe waiting for the right moment to go for the move, perhaps. But yeah, everybody racing really close, racing clean, and here comes DK. Move to the inside for that number 66, DK Army Ford. Doesn't look like he'll lead the lap here, as Melissa was able to carry that little bit of momentum on the top side to keep the lead for another lap. But now DK is going to get the run, and does he clear the 78? Well, close, but he does. But Melissa Alexander going to go for a crossover move. Really good racing up here going on up here at the front between these two drivers, DK and Melissa, but DK for sure is going to get to lead a lap and get 5 valuable bonus points. And wow, that lap time under 27 seconds, but that's not even the fastest lap of the race. So far that honor goes to Ryan Acosta at a 26.863. And it's still side by side between DK and Melissa, and it's helped to bring Daniel Voiles into the picture to try and go for the lead himself, so it's going to turn into a 3-car fight for that top spot. And we got other contenders who are kind of sneaking their way in. Dylan Young in the 2. And Dylan Young, it's been a little while since he's won a race. Today in his hometown of Chicago, what a way it would be to get your first win in a long time than to get it in your hometown. That would be something special, because it's rare that we ever see drivers win in their home state or hometown or what have you. But he's slowly getting up there. It's just you got the 3 up ahead of him that are just going at it for so long, and Melissa Alexander just took the lead back. But here comes DK with a run to the inside, but Melissa going to carry that momentum from the top to keep the spot for now. But they're still running really fast lap times. Although Dylan Young just ran his fastest lap at a 26.888. And Hannah Klein actually now, wow, these lap times are just getting really fast now, as Hannah Klein ran a 26.656. So many sixes there, it's the number of the beast. Anyways, Daniel Voiles has now got up to second, as man, this is some really good action up here for the lead. Voiles up to the second spot, and Dylan Young is actually in the picture, and another couple of drivers starting to sneak their way in. Keith Miller Jr., Charles Belding, and even Henry Sanford not too far off. Could turn into a possible 7-car fight for the lead if it comes down to it. Side by side, at least it was, between Melissa and Voiles. Are we under caution now? Yeah, we are under caution. First caution of the day, and not sure for what. I don't see any damage. Oh, there, never mind. Matt McIntyre, who just had a big launch in the standings after DuQuoin, and he is done for today, so it looks like it was a mess involving him. A couple others, looks like Scott Groverston, Jordan Forbes got damage. Ricky Carman, looks like we had a multi-car incident take place. But man, that halted what was becoming a fantastic, eventually going to become a fantastic 7-car battle for the lead, but maybe we can get back on track to that. But everybody's coming into pit road, and remember, pit strategy is going to be key, especially if after this caution period, we stay green the rest of the way, and we'll see who could come out of the pits the fastest and comes in at the right moment. But we're going to switch it over to the pit lane camera to keep an eye out and see who is going to come out ahead. And it looks like the wreck happened right here on the front straightaway. I almost have an idea of what could have possibly taken place to bring this caution out. But yeah, you can see this pit road is pretty wide, so there shouldn't be really any major issues as far as who's going to come out and not hit anybody. But Daniel Voiles comes out first, then DK, then Dylan Young, Keith Miller Jr., and Charles Belding. Melissa Alexander actually lost a lot of spots on pit road, and I don't know why, but Daniel Voiles finally gets the lead out of pit road. So we're going to take a look and see what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Chicago. So here's a look at how this all unfolds. So they are 4 wide coming off of turn 4. It is Jay Jefferson, Jordan Forbes, Patrick Smith, and Artur Castanha. And what's going to happen here is Artur Castanha is going to come up into Patrick Smith, and then Patrick Smith just ends up getting sandwiched between Castanha and Jordan Forbes. And in turn, with the 61 just still leaning into the 39, he turns him around just to get out of the way, sends the 39 spinning, and then there's contact, hard contact from Matt McIntyre, and you're going to see here in just a moment, oh, Hannah Klein get a piece of it, but watch Matt McIntyre hard hit into the inside wall, and then back up into Scott Groverston, and that is what tore Matt McIntyre's engine all the pieces. And then Scott Groverston luckily slides up to avoid everybody and just gets the wall a little bit in the rear. Don't think he's going to have much worry as far as being up to speed or not. But yeah, and then all that happened after they see the smoke and the contact with the 39. And then, oh, Patrick Smith actually got the wall. And Ricky Carmen, he almost got through, but Groverston was just right there. And Ricky did get sideswiped in the driver's side. And because he had to go up to avoid the 39, he ends up clipping the 42 of Groverston, sending him around. And Matt McIntyre just taking that hard hit, and that is no safer barrier. That is straight up concrete. Let's watch from the 14's perspective as he just barely clips the 42, but just slams that inside concrete wall hard. And I don't know how William Brock didn't pile drive anybody, but he somehow just got on the brakes and missed it all. But yeah, the guy who took the worst of that was Matt McIntyre in the 14, and he will likely be the only car out of the race as a result. So let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Chicago. Well, as expected, only one car out of the race, and that is Matt McIntyre. Everybody else still on track and still on the lead lap. But after pit stops, the field is shuffled in a big way as Daniel Voiles is now the race leader. Second is Daniel DK. Third is Dylan Young. Fourth, Keith Miller Jr. Fifth is Charles Belding. Sixth is Henry Sanford. Seventh, Melissa Alexander. Eighth is James Qualls. Ninth, Jay Jefferson. 10th, Laney Marino. 11th is Ricky Carmen. 12th, Dylan Jacobs. 13th, Lindsey Snyder. 14th is Artur Castanha. 15th, Quentin Moore. 16th, Kyle Matthews. 17th, Ryan Acosta. 18th, William Brock. 19th, Jordan Forbes. 20th, Patrick Smith. Then the rest of the top 30 is Alyssa Drayson, Jonathan Zorline, Dylan Poteet, Riley Henry, points leader Michael Norman, Jesse Turner, Lisa Nelson, Cole Deaver, Charles Sanford, Jessica Shelton, and then the rest of the field is Rafael LeDuc, Mitchell Collins, Carson Gum, Hannah Klein, Scott Groverston, Raphael Fireblade, and Joey Parkhill, and we're back underway. 45 laps to go, still a long way to go here at Chicago, and Daniel Voiles had an incredible restart. That or Daniel DK just did not get going at all, and they're 3 wide for second with Keith Miller Jr. to the inside, about to try and get to the second position, and he's really closing in on the 26 of Voiles as well. But Daniel Voiles, it's been a while since he's been to victory lane. If I recall, his first career win came at North Wilkesboro in the first North Wilkesboro race back in Season 9, this past season. I think he may have won another race. If not, then he's only had 1 win to his credit. And wow, Dylan Young really tried to dive it into turn 3 right there. And remember, Voiles and Young, they are bitter rivals elsewhere. Dylan Young wants to try and get to the lead because he wants to win in his hometown so bad. And he's got a wicked fast car, and here he comes to the inside of the 26 of Voiles. Actually, we got two side-by-side battles up here. Battle for third as Henry Sanford goes by Keith Miller Jr. with no problem. And is actually kind of drafting with Dylan Young to push Dylan Young to the lead, but now Henry Sanford's like, hey, I let you lead a lap. Now it's my turn to lead a lap. Man, this has just been some great racing. I'd say there's no question we will be coming back to this track in Season 11. Even though the Season 11 schedule is going to be wacky and out of control, regardless, it's going to be an interesting schedule to say the very least. But Henry Sanford looking for his first win of the season, and he has had like a true hot and cold nature to the season. It's like when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad. Comes in 26th in the point standings. Not too far behind the top 20 in the standings. So if he can come through with a great run or even a win, he could get back into the top 20 easily. But whoa! Big dive bomb on the part of Keith Miller Jr. as he's to the inside of Henry Sanford, trying to get the lead for himself. And Keith Miller Jr. already has a win this season. I believe that came at North Wilkesboro back early on in the season, back during the first of two Southeastern swing events we had. Keith won't lead the lap here, but he is there to the inside, and he'll have a big run here in 1 and 2. It's just, can he keep the momentum? And yes, he does, and to the lead goes the 15 of Keith. But Jay Jefferson, the pole sitter, he's back into the picture, and he has yet to lead a lap. Yeah, he got the pole. He wants to get 5 more bonus points, so that way he could help him out, because he's 5th in the standings, 140 points behind Michael Norman, and he's trying to get every point he can possibly get in hopes of closing in on this championship hunt, because after this race, it's halfway through the season. 18 races will have been completed. We'll have 18 more to settle a champion. And Jay Jefferson's been firmly in that hunt for quite a while. And Jefferson having a good run, but he wants to get a win. His second win of the season, in fact. I can't remember where he won earlier in the season, but man, he took that corner way too high. And now here comes Laney Marino to the inside, although Jay actually managed to hold momentum steady and keep the top spot, or not the top spot, but keep his position for the moment. Top 5's kind of single file for now. Maybe they're just trying to buy their time a little bit. Well, just as I say that, look at a huge pass going to be made by Jay Jefferson. Is going to go by the 15 of Keith Miller Jr. with no problem, and now he's got momentum closing in on Henry Sanford, and he's going to try and go to the inside here in turn 3. Jay Jefferson is a man on a mission right now. And he will finally lead a lap and get 5 more bonus points. He already had 5 for getting the pole. Now he gets another 5 for leading a lap. And he just ran the second fastest lap of the race at 26.671. Just 15 thousandths of a second off of the fastest lap time of the race, and that was to Hannah Klein. But Henry Sanford back to the inside, trying to get the lead back. And Keith Miller Jr. is right here in the hunt too, but so is Laney Marino, and we haven't really talked about her all race. She's just been quietly picking her way up through the field, and here she is in 4th, right here with the leaders. Could she just be playing mind games with the top 3 and just maybe waiting for the right moment to go for a move? We'll see how that all will play out, but bit of a gap between 4th on back here to the 5th spot, currently held by Dylan Young, but look at Kyle Matthews, and Kyle Matthews, I think he actually started dead last in this race, and here he is up here in the top 5 now. Up into the 5th spot, and then how about another driver who's had some momentum, and that's Jonathan Zorline. Zorline actually went back into the top 10 in the standings after a really good run back at DuQuoin. Zorline's still looking for his first win of the season. And talk about Zorline's stats, despite slight inconsistencies, tied for the most top 5s of 6, with Michael Norman and tied for the most top 10s with James Qualls with 8. And I think we're about, yeah, Jay Jefferson going to come into pit road. So, yeah, that tells me there's going to be quite a few pit stops before the end of this race. So I believe the pit window looks like is possibly about 15 laps. So we could see 2 more pit stops before the end of the race, especially if we get down to the wire, if we stay green the rest of the way. But Keith Miller Jr. goes into the pits, but Henry Sanford staying out to try and rack up more laps led so he can get the most laps led bonus. But Laney Marino wants to get up there too, but they're probably getting ready to come into pit road this time by. And who knows what the field will look like afterwards. But Laney Marino is going to pull in, so Henry Sanford is going to stay out. So too will Jay Jefferson and a few others. But here comes quite a big group of cars coming into pit road. But like I said, luckily this pit road is quite wide, so we shouldn't really have any real issues as far as drivers trying to get into their stalls and worry about running into one another. So far I haven't seen any of that yet. And now Henry Sanford comes into pit road, looking out to see if anybody's staying out. No, it doesn't look like it. Everybody's now finally making their pit stops. But there's at least going to be one more stop before the end of the race if we stay green. Possibly 2. But we'll see how that all is going to turn out. But anyways, as I'm looking around and you're seeing drivers coming out and coming in, and I had no idea who will be the race leader after all of this has been said and done. Yeah, I see Henry Sanford into his pit stall, although Jonathan Zorling not too far back. But Jay Jefferson's going to have more speed, so I think Jefferson is going to end up getting the race lead as a result. Maybe. I don't know. Henry Sanford's trying, but I think Jefferson's going to actually get the lead back. Possibly. Though I think he is now cycled up to the lead. We're about to find out in just a moment as they're getting ready to cross the line here. And indeed, Jay Jefferson cycles around as the race leader, so figured now would be a good time as any to do a full field rundown to see how everybody is running currently on track. But Jay Jefferson is your race leader. Second is Keith Miller Jr., third Henry Sanford, fourth Laney Marino, fifth is Jonathan Zorling, sixth is Kyle Matthews, seventh Lisa Nelson, eighth Dylan Young, ninth Ricky Carman, 10th Charles Belding, 11th Daniel Voiles, 12th Jesse Turner, 13th Daniel DK, 14th Quentin Moore. Just give me a second. 15th is Michael Norman, 16th is Dylan Poteet, 17th Hannah Klein, 18th Ryan Acosta, 19th Lindsey Snyder, 20th Scott Groverston, 21st James Qualls, 22nd Jessica Sheldon, 23rd Artur Castanha, 24th is Alyssa Drayson, 25th Patrick Smith, 26th is Melissa Alexander, 27th William Brock, 28th Mitchell Collins, 29th Riley Henry, 30th is Dylan Jacobs, 31st Charles Sanford, 32nd Cole Deaver, 33rd Raphael Fireblade, 34th Carson Gum, 35th Raphael LeDuc, and then the final 2 cars on track are Joey Parkhill and Jordan Forbes. Back up at the front, Jay Jefferson still leads, and he's actually pulling away from second place. At least for now, he's pulled away at the moment crossing the line last time at a 1.34 advantage. Now it is 1.44. Although Henry Sanford now looking to try and get up to second as he's to the inside of Keith Miller Jr. At least he was, but Keith just carrying momentum off the top groove. He's going to hang on for now, but Henry with a big move to the inside in turn 3, but again, Keith just able to carry like 5 miles per hour more speed off the corner, and Jay Jefferson just ran a really fast lap time, 26.87, still pulling away little by little over everybody behind him as they're racing behind him, which is something that Jay Jefferson really likes, because the more these guys continue the race, the more that the 01 is going to pull away. And as a result of the two second and third place drivers' battle, Jonathan Zorling's entered the picture, and Laney Marino's slowly entering into the fray herself. And Jay Jefferson now has almost a 2-second advantage over second place. And when we cross the line, it will be 20 laps to go, and we're getting closer and closer to the possible next rounds of pit stops. I think now that I think about it, I believe it would be the final set of pit stops. So it'd be about every 16, 17 laps. So I believe here in about 7, 8 laps from now, we'll see the final pit stops of the race, and then we'll see how things really turn out. Still side by side for second between Sanford and Miller, as Zorling's right there, but he's just not able to keep momentum up. And Laney Marino looked like she got really tight trying to run the bottom to get past Jonathan Zorling for third. Just didn't quite work out. As again, Sanford and Miller just continue to race hard for second, and the more they keep racing hard, the more it benefits Jonathan Zorling, because he just keeps pulling away. Granted, that time it was only by a little bit, but still, Jefferson being up there without having to deal with any competition, he's just basically running qualifying times to just pull away from everybody. And I look at the damage on the 39 of Jordan Forbes after that only caution. Yeah, big time rear end and driver's side damage after everything that's happened. Why don't we talk about Carson Gum a little bit, because Carson Gum was a perennial championship contender about 5-6 races ago, and ever since a certain point in time, he's just been falling apart. Fell to 22nd in points, and he's having a struggling run right now, barely running in the top 30. He's definitely hoping that whenever we get through this Illinois portion of the Midwest swing, that he can regain some momentum and move forward. And a reminder of the next 3 races, the final 3 races of the Midwest swing. We got Milwaukee next, which is another dirt track. Then we're running another dirt track at Knoxville, Iowa. And then we end the Midwest swing with one of our favorites, Kansas. Look at this 3-car fight for the 6th spot between Daniel Voiles, Charles Belding, and Kyle Matthews, as these guys were going at it for a bit. Meanwhile, the battle for second continues to just rage on between 4 cars: Miller, Sanford, Zorling, and Marino. And again, this just continues to benefit Jay Jefferson, as he's now almost 3 seconds ahead of second place. And Jefferson, now he's coming into pit road, so the final pit stops are underway. And Jay Jefferson's going to sacrifice the lead. I think that might end up biting him in the butt, because it seems like the longer you stay out and the cleaner you have a pit stop, the better it benefits them. So, I don't know, this could help these guys right here whenever they decide to come into the pits. It could help them get out ahead of Jefferson, possibly. And these guys decide to stay out another lap. In fact, pretty much everybody's staying out another lap. So Jay Jefferson, I don't know if it's strategy or if it's something that went wrong. Oh, never mind. Raphael Fireblade came in with him. So too did Alyssa Drayson. But yeah, only 3 cars in the pit road so far, but now Jordan Forbes comes in. Nobody up front coming in again. Although Daniel Voiles and Jesse Turner, teammates, they decide to go into pits this time by. But a lot of drivers trying to stretch out their fuel runs just a little bit to see if they can get an advantage over the competition. And right now, this battle for the lead continues to go insane between Henry Sanford and Keith Miller Jr. They've been battling for about 15 straight laps now. And Keith Miller Jr. coming into pit road, and Henry Sanford going to stay out yet another lap. Same with Zorline and Marino. And there is Rafael Fireblade, who just came out of the pits. Right now, Henry Sanford still hanging on to the top spot. I was double checking to see if we had a new fastest lap, and so far nothing's changed. Now the top three elect to come into pit road this time. Watching to see if anybody's going to risk it, and actually a couple of drivers going to risk it. A couple ladies, Melissa Alexander, who led early on, and Lisa Nelson, they're going to stay out, hoping that perhaps maybe a quick caution would come out, and they could find themselves in the catbird seat to go for the win. I don't know if this strategy is going to stick, if they can get to the front or not, but it will be quite a gamble on the part of these two, and now they are coming in, and I believe they were the last two to come into pit road, so now they have gone in. But Jay Jefferson clearly out ahead, but Charles Belding might be a contender because he's right behind the 01 of Jefferson. Excuse me. But also looking around, there's Henry Sanford, followed by Zorline and Marino. And yeah, Jefferson's strategy of coming into pits first definitely seemed to backfire as a result, but Henry Sanford's not the leader yet, although he's coming out of turn 4 now, and he's easily going to go by because the 6 and the 78 are just now getting into their stalls. So Henry Sanford now has the lead, but by a slim margin because Jonathan Zorline is trying to close in on the 07. And with laps running down, it's going to be 7 laps to go. Henry Sanford leads currently by less than 0.4 of a second. Meanwhile, Jay Jefferson actually is driving pretty fast, trying to get back up there into the mix as he's just gone by Laney Marino, and he was less than 2 seconds behind the top two. And I can tell he is closing in on them pretty fast, so it could turn into a 3-car fight for the win if things work out. And this time Henry Sanford definitely pulled away from Zorline, and now Jefferson actually closed in by a little over 0.3 of a second that previous lap. I don't know if it's going to be enough because laps are just continuing to wind down. It'll be 5 laps to go here at the line for Henry Sanford. And he just ran a solid lap time, and he now pulled ahead to almost 0.75 of a second. And Jefferson actually might have used up everything he had because now he's starting to slip a little bit. And now Laney Marino looking to make a run to the inside to get to 3rd. But Jonathan Zorline may be waiting for the right moment, that, or maybe he used up everything he had. Yeah, he's running a little over 0.2 slower lap times than Henry Sanford. Meanwhile, Jefferson ran a little bit faster, but Laney Marino, I think, yeah, she was the 2nd fastest of the top 4. But unless something drastic happens, I think Henry Sanford's pretty much got this win in hand. So yeah, Henry's strategy of staying out as long as he possibly could and pitting at the right moment seems to have paid off for him. Because now he's got a little over a 1 second lead over the 00, and Jay Jefferson trying to make one final push, but might have waited too long because he's a 1.5 seconds behind Sanford. 1.1 seconds now with less than 2 laps to go. And Jay Jefferson really trying to make one final push, but again, it's just not enough time. If there was a few more laps, he might have been able to run down Henry Sanford, but it's just not going to be enough unless something happens. White flag is out here at Chicago, and the margin, almost 1.3 seconds, and Jefferson did run a really fast lap time just now, under 27 seconds, but again, it's just not going to be enough. Sanford's just got too big of a gap between first and second. And we're getting ready to come off of turn 4 for the final time. First win of the season. Henry Sanford is going to win the Tropicana 400 at Chicago. Great pit strategy, made the call when the time was right, stayed out as long as he could, came in at the right moment, got out ahead of everybody, and it paid off as Henry Sanford gets his first win of Season 10. What a job by that 07 team, and I believe that's the first win of the season also. Or actually, no, that's the second win of the season for S4 Motorsports. But Henry Sanford pulls off the miracle win in our first ever trip to the Chicago Motor Speedway. But let's look at the rest of the results. Jay Jefferson, he was coming in fast, but maybe if he had not used up all of his stuff too soon and there was a few more laps, he might have been able to run down the leader to win the race. But still a great points day, finishing in second. Jonathan Zorling continuing momentum, and that's his 7th top 5 and 9th top 10 finish of the season, which is probably a season high now, as he finished in 3rd. Laney Marino with another top 5 and 4th, and Kyle Matthews continuing a trend of getting all of his top 10s being top 5s as he finishes in the 5th spot. Charles Belding with a great run in the 6th position. Dylan Young, great showing in his hometown track, finishing in 7th. Quentin Moore, great run in 8th. Hannah Klein with a solid performance in 9th despite being involved in that first caution. And then Keith Miller Jr. with a great run in 10th to round out the top 10. Then there's your top 20, top 30, and the bottom 3 for this week were Joey Parkhill, Jordan Forbes, and the only car out of the race, Matt McIntyre. Well, that does it for our coverage here today at Chicago Motor Speedway for the Tropicana 400. Yeah, this track definitely going to be added back into the Season 11 schedule. This was a great race, a lot of action, and some pit strategy. So with all that said, here is Henry Sanford's victory burnout and the point standings heading into the final third of the Midwest Swing as we head to the Milwaukee Mile for the next race. But until then, this is Levi McIntyre signing off.